Released for the first time in 2018, Buffalo Trace's Old Charter Oak brand was created to showcase the diverse taste profiles of barrels obtained from trees grown in different countries, climates, and soil. The oak trees used for the barrels that are dedicated to this brand vary by country of origin or species or even US state. This is the third French oak release in the series. Retails for $70, but as you guys know, anything released by Buffalo Trace is usually marked up 3 to 4 times its retail price. Is their Charter Oak series worth the cash? Let's find out on the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C from the Mash and Drum, and today we are reviewing the third French oak release from Buffalo Trace's Charter Oak series. For this release, Buffalo Trace obtained a small number of barrels from France, filled them with its mash bill number 1, same mash bill as we've seen Eagle Rare, Colonel E.H. Taylor, Stag, Buffalo Trace, and more. Master distiller Harlan Wheatley said we first experimented with French oak barrels in 1995. We then released our first experiment with French oak in 2006, and we were so pleased with the results, we bought more barrels from France and put more bourbon up to age. Check it out. So the Old Charter brand dates back to 1874 when Adam and Ben Chapizzi created the bourbon, naming it in honor of the Charter Oak tree, a longtime symbol of American independence and free spirit, which grew in Connecticut in the 12th or 13th century until it fell in a storm in 1856. While the vast majority of bourbon today is aged in American white oak barrels, the Old Charter Oak line showcases white oaks from all over the world. Now, along with French oak, past releases have been aged in Canadian oak, Mongolian oak, and Chinkapin oak. Now, most coopers, the amazing people that make barrels, will tell you that what matters most when selecting oaks for barrels is the grain. Did the tree grow slow and steady, resulting in a tighter grain, or were there conditions that were just right for rapid growth and therefore a wider grain pattern? I'm going to pour this real quick right now. Common practice at cooperages is to classify the wood by grain, but some go as far as labeling cuts by its place of origin. Those coopers believe that where the tree grows has influence on the characteristics of the barrel and ultimately the flavor of the spirit that's being aged inside of it. Now, if you guys watched my channel before, you guys know I love French oak, which is why I bought this one. But French oak is usually coveted by winemakers because many wine producers love the subtle flavors and tannins of that specific type of oak. American rye producers often use French oak as well to bring out the spicy, peppery notes of their whiskey as well. Now, when I was figuring out why I love French oak, I did some research on it because I'm a dork, and French oak can offer complex flavors because of how delicate the wood is. So the wood must be hand split rather than sawed. For this reason, French oak barrels are more expensive. So like the previous releases in the Old Charter Oak series, supplies will be limited, and this third release of Old Charter French Oak has a suggested retail price of $70. It clocks in at 92 proof, and it's actually 12 years old. So full transparency, to get this bottle, I paid $250 for it, but that's only because I had never seen it before. And I figured, if I'm gonna spend the money on a Charter Oak series, it's gonna be the French Oak one, because I'm usually such a big fan of French Oak. So a buddy of mine spotted one, told me what the price was. I'm like, you know what, I've never seen it actually that cheap, unfortunately. So let's pull the trigger, let's do a video on it. Here we go, let's go into the nose, guys. Now to me, it smells very Buffalo Tracy. It's very light, very sweet. I get that really nice punch of cherry that sometimes you get in like a nice Stag or Stag Junior. Tons of vanilla. A little bit of juicy fruit gum in there, I think, too. And there is a little bit of a spice behind it. So my thing with Buffalo Trace is, and you guys know this, it's very good bourbon, but it's usually very sweet, candy sweet. And while that's good, I always look for more of a finish. And usually Buffalo Trace whiskeys and bourbons just usually lack that for me for some reason. It doesn't have a complex finish enough, unless you get into like the Stag Juniors or even the, you know, the antique collection. But a 12-year-old bourbon from Buffalo Trace, aged in a French oak cask for the entire term of its life, was just so interesting to me. So I really want to see what it does to it. Remember, you know, rules of bourbon in the United States, it doesn't specify American oak. It just has to be a charred oak container. So the whole life of this bourbon sitting in that French oak cask, 12 years old, mash bill number 1. Let's see how it is. So even for 93 proof, the French oak character in this really gives it some nice spice. It's also extremely velvety on the palate. Noticing that on the first sip, it's very creamy. Holy hell, is it like, this is like eating a cherry Pop-Tart. I'm getting like pastry. This is very, very cherry. So Buffalo Trace, again, you still get that backbone of like a well-aged Buffalo Trace, getting like that cherry grape type note that you sometimes get. All right, third sip. The finish that I loved on the first and second sip is starting to go away a little bit. But what you're left with is a really nice, like, chocolatey, spicy, and again, that cherry grape, little bit of a bite to it on the very, very back end of it. On the front of the bottle, as you guys saw in the close-ups, it has this nice, I feel like this is a piece of, real piece of wood here. The logo, the emblem on the charter oak, which pays homage to that oak tree that we talked about earlier that was growing in Connecticut, which is basically the base for the brand name of Old Charter Oak. Then on the back, it gives you the story of Old Charter Oak. It's definitely a bottle shape that stands out against the other Buffalo Trace products. I mean, they have so many different brands, obviously, but I do really like this bottle design a lot. This is good. So you do get the oak. You get some nice oak tannins, but it's not until the very end of the finish because the front and the mid palate of this is all sweet. All sweet. It's like strawberry, cherry, grape, maple syrup, sugar, a little bit of pastry, cream there too, all wrapped up in the front of the palate. And as it works its way back, you get hit with just a little bit of spice, maybe a hint of chocolate. I think the chocolate is starting to come out a little bit more now on the palate, and I wasn't really getting that on the nose. Man, if you told me that this was a 12-year-old bourbon, I don't know if I'd believe you because, you know, like think of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, how dark it gets, how super rich it gets. This is a lot more delicate, and that definitely plays into that French oak barrel that this has been aged in its entirety. 12 full years. Last sip here. This is very, very easy sipping, sweet. It's very Buffalo Tracy. I think where you get the French oak characteristic is on the finish. It tastes very Buffalo Trace to me up front. You get all the grape, the cherry, a lot of vanilla, very sweet, very easy sipping. There's really no tingliness that's going on the front of my palate. And then it hits the back end, and then you get a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of spice, but then it just fades away very easily. It's very buttery. I actually think that's the standout characteristic of this bourbon, is the texture of it, and I think that all has to do with the French oak cask. All right, so before we get into the final breakdown, I want to introduce a new sponsor to the Mash and Drum. It is Caldera Lab. Caldera Lab creates high-performance men's self-care products by combining pharmaceutical-grade science, nature's purest and most potent ingredients, and sustainable business practices. Today we're talking about Caldera Lab's best-selling product. It's called The Good, and it's their award-winning multifunctional serum that's been pretty much breaking the internet. Now for me personally, my skin dries out pretty quick, but since I started using this for about a month, my skin feels smoother, less dry, looks better on camera, and I've even gotten compliments on how good my skin looks from my girlfriend, who is very, very focused on skincare herself and wanted to use it. It's actually a really easy way for guys like me to take care of their skin in one easy step. Like I said, this was designed to help address wrinkles, fine lines, uneven skin tone with clinically proven results. GQ magazine just named it the best natural face serum for men, and they have teamed up with NFL legend Tony Gonzalez, that's right, former tight end of my favorite team, the Atlanta Falcons. The good multifunctional serum is made from 27 active plant botanicals infused over 4 weeks using a patented process which took over 2 years to develop. All you have to do is use this dropper that's built into this slick looking bottle, put a few drops in your hand, and then put it on your neck and on your face right before bedtime. That's it. Literally brush your teeth, floss, wash your face, then dry your face, and then use this, and that's it. Typically results, they say, come in about 60 days, but I already noticed a big difference in just 30 days. So not only is this helping me look and feel better and feel more confident, Caldera Lab is a company I feel good about supporting. All their products are sustainably sourced and packaged and cruelty-free, and they've earned the prestigious B Corp certification. On top of that, they also donate 2% of all their revenue to vetted nonprofit organizations. Everything Caldera Lab makes is 100% non-toxic, vegan, dermatologically tested, and clinically proven to work for all skin types. So if you guys are interested in your skin looking and feeling better, click the link below in the description to get a special discount of 20% off your first bottle, or simply use the code MASHANDDRUM for 20% off at checkout. Again, click the link below in the description to get a special discount of 20% off your first bottle, or simply use the code MASHANDDRUM for 20% off at checkout. Another great thing is that there's no risk in trying this, guys. Every purchase is backed by Caldera Lab's 100% money back guarantee. Try it for 60 days. If you don't love it, then you can get a 100% refund, no questions asked. So give it a try. Your face will thank you later. All right, it's final breakdown time. Price for this one, $70. $70. I know you're laughing because I chuckled a little bit inside when I saw that too. Secondary market value for this one, I have seen these as low as $400. Now I did get it at $250. So let's say $250. And I've seen them as high as about $1,600 people trying to unload these for. And that's because of the rarity. They are ghosts. The fact that my buddy even saw this at a store blew my mind. So these pretty much are ghosts in most areas. You don't ever really see them at all. So let's get into availability, which is, now usually I'd say limited, but you can't even say limited with this one. This is, I'm just gonna say it's ghostly. That's right, it's ghostly. Ghostly is the thing when it comes to bourbons. Most Buffalo Trace products are ghostly. Worse than limited, marked down. Now when it comes to value on, like most Buffalo Trace products, value at retail is actually pretty good. I mean, Weller 12 still retails for this day around, what, 50, 60 bucks-ish. So that's a 12-year-old wheated bourbon at 90 proof. So at retail, yeah, it's a good value, but the fact is you don't see this at retail at any point. So when it comes to seeing it on the shelf, because I have never seen this thing lower than $250, value on this one right now, price is how it's being priced, it's low. All right, so most I'd pay. Now, obviously I paid 250 bucks for this, like I told you guys. Now, if I saw this again, would I pay 250 for it? I mean, even though the chances of seeing it are probably, you know, highly unlikely. But if I saw this again, would I pay 250 for it after tasting it for the first time? No. I think the most I'd pay for this, given its rarity, given the flavor profile, it's a little bit different, I'd probably go 150 for this the most. But I would not pay 250 for this again, and I wouldn't pay a dime higher than that's been going out there. Because basically, you're not paying for the bourbon inside, you're paying just for the rarity of it. And I get it, it is a rare bottle, but what I'm tasting right now, it's good, but it's not worth any higher than I think than 150 bucks. Now there's some good alternatives out there because, you know, if you want to try French Oak and that type of a finish, Bardstown Bourbon Company has their triple stave and they're doing a good amount of French Oak finishes in some of their releases. You also have Davies County Bourbon, which has a French Oak, a relatively available French Oak finish bourbon. So there are other bourbons to look at that contain French Oak or finish in French Oak for you to get that type of flavor profile to see what it does without paying out the ass for something like this. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review for the Old Charter French Oak release. This is the third release. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Let me know what you guys think of this one. If you've had it before, are you just not even interested in trying to hunt one of these down? Do you like French Oak? Is that a finish you guys enjoy? And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers, and you know, if you want to try this, just come on over. Take care, everybody.